Hi you guys, my name is Faye and I need a vacation. I think you do too, so let's distract ourselves with some reality TV nonsense. So today I'll be talking about the fourth episode of Bravo's Next Gen NYC. The first scene is just a montage. We see the Marks family at I actually don't know where they are. I don't know if it's a museum. I don't know if it's an art exhibition or some type of New York experience, but they're in a dark, glowy place that looks kind of psychedelic. We see Riley making music, then we catch a glimpse of Dylan working out. We also see Charlie living in a mess and rolling a joint. Charlie, sweet summer child, so naive, don't have faith in production. They are going to show your mess and your joints. And lastly, we see Gia and Teresa recording their podcast. In the next scene, we see Ariana and her boyfriend Hudson. They are looking at the final apartment, and I have to say it's beautiful. It's spacious, or spacious for New York. It has higher ceilings, the floors are nice, they have a bathtub and a shower. And yeah, they absolutely love it. They're gonna put an offer in, and it's actually $10K a month. So they are now $4,000 over budget, but hey, it's New York. Next, we go back to the Marks family. And I have to say, as a viewer of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, it is so nice to see Meredith relaxed and carefree and just happy with her family and not triggered by the ladies or disengaging. In the confessional, Brooks brings up that in most families, their children leave the nest. But in his family, the parents actually just pick up the nest and move it to where their kids are. He said before in an earlier episode that his parents actually are in New York quite often. And that kind of leads to him feeling not as independent. He also shares that they have a lot of shared friends. I always thought that's a little strange how that happens. I don't know, maybe that's just me and my family, but my parents have their friends and I have my friends. Brooks shares this feeling with his parents, and Meredith at least is looking like she's taking it in, but Seth is kind of just there. Brooks also asks Seth how the conversation with Charlie went and what they talked about, to which Seth answers that Charlie is just so authentic. He's not a BSer, and him being so authentic is the reason why he gets into trouble. Whatever, Seth. Meredith calls Seth's behavior recently bizarre, to which I agree, Meredith, and Brooks just calls it weird. After that, we see Charlie, his father, and his girlfriend, Talia, at a restaurant. They're having lunch. And the first thing I noticed, I have to say, why doesn't Charlie order his own entree? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I find that annoying. Dude, order your own food. The father then asks Charlie about his dating life, and I thought it was heading in a nice father-son type of direction. But no, his father immediately rushes to say that he can never achieve the perfection that is Talia. And I don't know if it was meant to be a joke or something, but it was just unnecessary to me. In the confessional, Charlie's asked if he can remember something that his dad said that hurt his feelings. And he actually says it would be way harder to remember something his dad said that didn't hurt his feelings. And that did make me a little sad for Charlie. That can't have been easy growing up like that. I do have to say something is off with the dad. I don't know if he is intentionally cruel or if he's just socially awkward, but something is not right with his interactions with his son. Charlie even says their entire relationship is just one big DICK measuring contest. Very competitive. In the next scene, Ava is in the car somewhere and she's talking to her father. She brings up the golf tournament that the two of them are hosting soon and says that she doesn't want to invite Charlie because he's annoying her. Of course, her father wants to know what's up. And when Ava tells him about the argument that she and Charlie had, her dad immediately cuts her off and he's like,
"Was he speaking aggressively to you?"
And when she says yes, he says,
"Well, does he like women? If he likes women, why does he treat them so bad?
And how is his relationship with his mother?" And he also said that Charlie first has to learn how to love himself in order to learn how to love women. And I did appreciate his perspective on that. Love that input from Dame. Next, we see Georgia. She's in the confessional and she tells us a bit more about her career path and how she got to where she is. She tells us that when she was in college, a random guy approached her and asked her if she wanted to throw a party and said that he would fully invest in it, which he did. And yeah, Georgia made a lot of money. She really enjoyed herself and she said now she's addicted to it. So yeah, that's how she got into the production of events. I noticed it before, but I really have to say it now that I've seen a little bit more of Georgia. Does anyone else feel like Georgia really looks like Emma Roberts? I mean, the similarities are there, just the frame of her body, you know, her face, shape, even the hair a little bit. Imagine her in a blonde wig. She could totally look like Emma Roberts. We meet Georgia's boyfriend, Omar. I'm not sure if he's actually her boyfriend. She says they've went on dates, they've been dating, but I do not know if they're dating, if that makes sense. Yeah, but they're on the way to lunch. And I have to say, I do not like the shoes Georgia is wearing. What are those? Also, don't like the pants. This outfit in general is very weird to me. She has had some good looks and good outfits, but let's say she does have a very eclectic sort of style. But I do not know what she was going for there. Her and Omar on the way to lunch. She tells us more about him. She tells us that he runs a crypto startup company and that she has never dated someone in a suit. In fact, he's wearing a suit in this very scene. And she also lets us know that their lifestyles couldn't be more different. He basically wakes up when she goes to bed, but she says that he is a genius. Omar apparently is interested in opening his own physical space, which is where Georgia comes in. After years of throwing events for other people, she now wants to open her own club. And Omar is going to not only invest, but he's going to find other investors for the club as well. Georgia then asks Omar if he has any concerns working together, with them being in a relationship. But Omar says,
business is business.
And I do have to admit that their entire relationship is giving very business casual to me. I don't see any sort of romantic vibes. In the next scene, Ariana and Riley go to a bar and they speak about last night. The whole fight with Charlie and basically everyone. Charlie did not ride back on the Sprinter van with them, and I think that was a good choice. Brooks, however, decides to call him on speaker, and they all start talking to him at the same time, and then Ava's like,
"Can I have the phone, please?" They give
it to her, and she hangs up. And yes, I agree, Ava. I just hate conversations with multiple people on speakerphone, especially if I'm being called and then 3 or more people start talking to me. Actually, 2 or more people. I'm like, no, I'm out. Just talk amongst yourselves. But back to Ariana and Riley, Ariana reminds her that back when she had her issue with Charlie, everyone was defending him and telling her that
that's just how he is
and he has trauma. Riley agrees and said that everyone kind of lets him slide and that she herself has made many excuses for him, but that she is now over it. She won't be doing it anymore. And she also says that she doesn't know if she can still be friends with him. Ariana also tells us that they can handle themselves as housewife kids and that they will throw the glass of wine if they have to, as well as shift that wig if needed. And I was laughing. The producers showed a montage of, some Roa scenes, Kim and Candy, Kim versus Sheree, the famous wig shift. And good old Sheree. Those were some good times. And I love how humorous Ariana is, even when it comes to her own mom. Like, she's not embarrassed. She's not making apologies. She's also not offended or insulted. She just rolls with the punches and, makes fun of it and herself. And I love that. And the way the edit is, I feel like the producers are really having fun with the show. In the next scene, everyone is on the way to the countryside. I have no idea to where. But apparently Charlie's father and Talia and Charlie himself are hosting a day away from the city. And his father calls Charlie asking where he is. And he tells him that he's just leaving. His father does not appreciate that. And he's like, dude, you're already
1.5 hours late.
It takes you that long to get here. And Charlie's response is, don't take this out on me. Okay, Charlie. Georgia tells us more about her childhood in the van as well as in the confessional. She mentioned before that her parents came from humble beginnings, and now she tells us that they both became lawyers and started a law referral company together. But she says that when 9/11 happened, her father had a major trauma response to that. It kind of threw him off the rails. He left the city, he left his family, and eventually died, which caused Georgia, as a small child, to act out. Then her mother put her in therapy, and Georgia tells us that she has been in therapy in and out her entire life until recently. Charlie chimes in and lets everyone know that he also spent a lot of time in therapy all through high school for beef with his father. Apparently, his father used therapists as mediators so that they could communicate effectively. In the next scene, it's finally move-in day. Ariana and Hudson get to move to New York officially, get to leave the hotel. They're both ecstatic, carrying things up there. Unfortunately, though, Ariana drops Hudson's glasses, or they fall out, and they're almost $600 glasses. We find out that they're actually prescription glasses, but Hudson took it so well. He was not upset at all. He was like, "This is
New York, baby. I can probably get some of these around the corner."
Ariana does let us know, however, that she doesn't say she's worried about money, but she does mention that she's thinking about it more. She has to make more now just because she's now living in New York City, paying $10K a month for rent. Ariana then calls her mom, Kim, and shows her the apartment, shares the great news with her. Kim is so happy for her daughter. She gets emotional. She almost cries. And I do have to say, it's so nice to see Kim as a loving mom and not as a vicious person. And I did laugh when Kim demanded a ring from Hudson. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll happen. Fingers crossed. After that, we switch back to Charlie, his family and friends. They have arrived at the countryside. His father, right off the bat, asks people to judge whether him or his son are more handsome. That's weird. That's weird. Charlie tells them to just say him so he won't be in a bad mood. Also weird. And other than that, Charlie's father, I thought at first he was making casual conversation. He asked Brooks if he had been out partying with the others last night. But when he says no, he's like,
"Is that so?"
And I don't know, that just was strange to me. That almost felt a little aggressive, very inquisitive, almost like an interrogation. I think Brooks felt it as well, because in the confessional, he tells us that his father and Charlie's father could not be more different. Charlie, in the confessional, tells us that he's afraid of his father judging him based on conversations that he's going to have with his friends. I thought that was a strange worry to have. I mean, personally, I would be more concerned with if my parents are going to judge my friends, based on the interactions with them. I would never be afraid they're going to judge me because I'm their baby. Other than that, Charlie's friends all note that Charlie and his father look very similar. And once they pointed that out, I have to totally agree they do. And it really is the way they were walking side by side. It's like younger Charlie, older Charlie. Their walk, however, isn't as peaceful as it seems from the outside. His father asks Charlie if, now that he's about to turn 30, if he has any future plans for his life. Charlie does not want to talk about it. He tells his father that these conversations are never positive. His father insists on discussing the situation. Charlie, however, is not having it. He tells his father that he doesn't want to feel
this way,
whatever that means. And his father responds by saying,
"I don't want to get pulled into your drama."
And then they separate, like literally one goes this way, one goes the other way. Meanwhile, Georgia explains that she feels like Charlie's father is a very intense figure, and that growing up, he had very high expectations for Charlie. And Charlie, being Charlie, rebelled against that. And then both of them started, kind of resenting each other. In the confessional, Charlie tells us that he cannot live to make his father happy, that he's rarely happy anyway, and he brings up when he was a child, and for example, he had a 99 on a math test. His father would just focus on the missing 1%, like what went wrong. And since they're both awful people, or it seems, through this television show that they're both awful people, it's hard for me to determine who the villain is here. However, since Charlie is the child and the father's the father, I'm leaning towards saying the father's the villain, because I'm sure it can't have been easy growing up that way. However, Charlie is almost 30, and at a certain point, we are all responsible for our own behaviors and failures, and it's up to us to work through our issues and our traumas in therapy, if necessary. Charlie says that he feels like his father is judging his private life by asking these questions, but again, he's almost 30, so I do have to say it is only fair to expect an almost 30-year-old to at least have a plan and, get it together at some point in life. And Georgia and the other friend agree as well. They do recognize that the father is probably difficult to deal with, but at the same time, Charlie's almost 30. Georgia also tells us that Charlie told her that apparently his father only gives him the allowance because he doesn't want him to live with him, and he just doesn't want to have to deal with him at all. That's sad. Charlie in the confessional tells us that all he wants is peace, and that he's worried that as long as his father is alive, he's not going to have that until he dies. He says this in a very cold, almost disinterested manner that made me shiver a little bit. There's definitely a disconnect here. Other than the drama between Charlie and his father, I have to say that this event looked boring to me. All they were doing is sitting around. It didn't really seem like they were having fun, and the weather seemed to have been bad, but that's not their fault. In the next scene, Ava and Dame, her father, introduce us to OSG, which is off school grounds. And of the participants of the golf tournament that day, hundreds of them are principals, are superintendents from economically disadvantaged areas. I'm not sure if this golf tournament is a charity event or something. I don't think they say it. But yeah, that's the backstory. We learn a bit more about Ava. She tells us that her godfather is the Andre Leon Talley. He is fashion royalty, and he is indeed the godfather of fashion, as Ava describes him. Brooks and Ava end up riding a golf cart together, and Brooks catches Ava up on the events of the day before and tells her that there were moments where Charlie kind of lost it. Ava responds to this by telling us in the confessional that although Charlie claims he hates drama, he's actually secretly obsessed because every dramatic moment in her entire summer has been centered around him. And she tells Brooks that she does not feel responsible for reaching out to Charlie. It's up to him. They then start talking about therapy, and Brooks tells Ava that as a child, his parents sent him to a therapist because he believed their house was haunted and he was seeing elves everywhere. That, I don't know, it's scary, but it's also hilarious. It's like, imagine your child coming to you saying he sees little elf. Real talk, I would probably sell that house and move, but that's just me. And apparently, Brooks still believes that house was haunted. Later in the day, Brooks is in the golf cart with his father again, and Ava is riding with her father when a storm breaks loose and it starts pouring rain. And while Dame and Ava are just laughing, screaming, giggling, Seth and Brooks are actually arguing because of Brooks's lost phone, which is actually sitting right in front of him. In the next scene, we see Georgia and Omar at his office. They are meeting to brainstorm about their business, and even the greeting was very distant to me. They halfway hug, and Omar gives her a slight peck on the cheek. Honestly, I would not be surprised if this is a fake relationship just for the cameras, or if she was even simply his client, because that's the way they're behaving towards each other. They start brainstorming, and basically Ava wants a business that is, she said, it's supposed to be fun, sexy, and cool, as well as make money. I think that's fair. And she has the idea that for her club, she wants to involve bowling somehow. That does not seem very safe to me, to mix alcohol and possibly drugs with bowling just seems like a safety hazard in my opinion. Georgia also mentions that she won't let people into her club who are wearing high heels or who work in finance. So I guess that means, Omar, you cannot get in. Next, Charlie and Ava meet up for a walk through the city. Charlie wants to apologize to her, and Ava lets him know that she felt like he turned on her when she was actually only trying to help him and that he snapped at her. Charlie, he makes another stupid comment about,
Oh, no one's snappy except Charlie.
but he does end up apologizing to Ava, so they are now good again. Charlie then tells Ava that Ariana has kind of grown on him, and Ava immediately asks him,
Oh, in what way? Do you have a crush on her now?
and honestly, I thought that that was a very strong reaction for them to only be friends. Low-key, I do believe that they have feelings for each other, and honestly, I would not be surprised if they had something going on already. Anyway, Charlie responds that he would F her if he got even the smallest green light. Charlie also lets Ava know that him and Riley have reconciled, and we see a flashback scene of them two talking as well. And Charlie does apologize, hopefully sincerely this time, and he explained that the reason he undermined his first apology was that he felt like he was being unfairly villainized, like he always is in his family. Riley tells us that she feels like Charlie always convinces himself he's right, which I agree with. And it did annoy me that that scene was only a 30-second flashback, just because in the last episode, the issue took over such a huge portion of the show, and then for it not to be even fully resolved, like at this point, why did we see Charlie and Ava going on a walk, talking about it and clearing it up, when Ava is not even the main person that Charlie had conflict with? That's weird to me. We should have seen Riley and Charlie sit and have that conversation. Anyway, Riley says that she's ready to move on with Charlie. In the next scene, Ariana and Hudson meet up with a streetwear designer. I'm not sure if we actually were told the name of his label, but they want to learn from him and hear some of his story and how he started his brand. He asks them a couple questions like, who are the 3 designers that you feel execute very well? How is the product going to be, stored? Where is it going to be shipped from? Who's going to pay for it? What's your mission statement? And after they've talked for a while, he lets them know that he feels like there's a lot of enthusiasm there, but they don't have a plan yet. He also lets them know that however much money they think they have, it's not going to be enough. In her confessional, Ariana tells us that she wants to get Adored Angels moving very soon because she wants to do the first drop, the second drop, the third drop. And that disappointed me a little bit because I thought that they were working on a serious, fashion brand and that there was going to be some quality behind it. And not that it would just be another ultra fast fashion brand, but at the same time, I understand that there are, cost concerns, so I don't want to judge her too harshly. The last scene of the episode is Chloe's birthday party. She's turning 23 years old and they're hosting this fun party for her. I think it's even a surprise party. Everyone shows up, Amira as well, and I'm happy to see her, but I do have to say that it's giving friend of the show, or not even friend of the show at this point. She actually feels like a guest. We've seen her like twice in the whole show so far. Also, shout out to the men of this group. There's this little scene where Riley stops, I think it was Hudson, from paying for something, and the men are trying to stop her, and she's like, but he always pays for everything. And the men are like, well,
he's a man. That's what he's supposed to do.
And I was like, that's right. Brooks and Ava are in a corner and they're talking about Charlie, and Brooks asks her if she is very sure that Charlie does not have feelings for her. And I think this is is this the second or third person to bring that up? I know Amira mentioned it and Brooks mentioned it, maybe someone else, and if not, I was definitely the third person to catch on to that. Anyway, Ava tells him that she sees Charlie as her gay best friend. Sweetie, no, does not seem that way to me, especially the way you reacted when you first heard that Charlie was taking Chloe out on a date, and then the way you reacted when he told you about his not crush, but his interest in Ariana, that was not giving gay best friend vibe. Later in the episode, Ava, Georgia, Brooks, and Emira are sitting together, and Ava brings up the fact that Ariana is starting a clothing line and that she was surprised when she heard that, which then Brooks reacts to by saying that he can't tell if there's a negative connotation in that or no. And Ava explains that she doesn't mean it in a negative way, but every time she sees Ariana, it's not giving like high fashion to her, someone, who wants to be a designer. Emira responds that she had some friends in high school and in college who would make little comments like that and that it was really effed up. And congrats to Emira for being able to stand up for what she believes in and her friends, because it can be hard to let people know that you do not agree with something they've said or done. In the confessional, Emira tells us that it's just not classy behavior to talk badly about somebody you've just met, and she tells Ava to just be a good person. It's not hard. Apparently, that conversation went on for a long time, because when he sits with them, Ariana and Riley ask Brooks like what they've been talking about for so long, him and Ava, and finally he does tell them. Ariana is really shocked at this. She's actually upset and calls out Ava for her sparkly circus shorts. The girls take Ariana to the bathroom to calm down. Brooks goes back to Ava and he lets her know that he told the girls what he had said. Ava is a little annoyed or confused at this, like, why did you tell them? But at the same time, she does stand firm on what she said. She said she's not gonna pretend she didn't say anything and that she will say it straight to her face, and she actually doubles down. And meanwhile, Ariana is in the bathroom breaking down and, saying that she wants to do this stupid little streetwear brand until she has the money, and that her parents can't pay for anything because she's actually paying their bills. I did not like that comment. Immediately, it made me question how much love and quality and just effort she's going to put into this clothing line. And also, I just didn't appreciate the almost derogatory way that she said streetwear. I think streetwear should definitely be respected in fashion. And although I'm now wondering if Ariana's heart really in it, I did giggle at Kim and Croy catching a stray. The episode ends with Ariana calling Ava Regina George from Mean Girls, and we'll see more next week. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, please. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you next time on our next vacation. Until then, have a great day. Bye.